Hello, Rudy Campos with the Rudy Campos home selling team at eXp Realty and Carly Rosales with the Money Store. Thank you again for watching this video. Please click like, also share this with friends and family, and subscribe to my YouTube channel at Rudy Campos Realtor. So today we're going to be discussing a topic that I think is very important for you if you're thinking of buying a property. And Carly Rosales will discuss the difference between a pre-approval and a pre-qualification. So Carly, thank you again for this information that we're sharing with the public. So tell us what is important about a pre-approval versus a pre-qualification.
Thank you, Rudy. Yes, there is a difference between a pre-approval and a pre-qualification. A lot of people do not know the difference, but there is a difference in regards to what documentation is provided. So for instance, a pre-qualification can simply be an online application that is taken by a borrower that gives the basic information as to where you live, work, what assets you might have in the bank, and then a soft credit pull or providing just what debts and credit score you might have. And if it's just the information that's being provided by the client, that is more of a pre-qualification because documentation has not been given to the lender. If a lender is going to do pre-approval, then that's where we as lenders are providing and gathering all the documentation that is necessary to obtain a loan. You are going to require the income, asset, and credit information to verify all the ins and outs for the last 2 years. W-2s, bank statements, full credit report.
So in this market, Carly, why is it important to make sure that you have a pre-approval rather than just a pre-qualification? Especially when we are in a competitive market, lots of competition with offers, multiple offers, etc. Why do you think it's important to make sure that you have a pre-approval, not just a pre-qualification?
A pre-approval is very important to a seller and listing agent to know that you as a buyer have done everything you need to obtain this loan for this new home. You have provided all the documentation that's required by the lender, and you have taken the steps to allow them to review the ins and outs of your application. Because if for instance you are getting into escrow, we don't want any hiccups. For instance, if a bank statement is not provided and we then see it later on and there's a large out of ordinary deposit, then that could have an escrow go sideways. If, for instance, check stubs or W-2s are not provided, and income is calculated differently than what a client perceives they're making versus what we as a lender can use as income, can make an escrow go sideways as well. So we want to do everything we can up front to make sure there's no problems, no hiccups in the middle of escrow.
Exactly. And as an agent, the worst thing that can happen is you get an offer accepted, and then 3 weeks later, the lender calls and says, sorry, the client does not qualify for the loan. What happened? Well, basically they didn't do their complete job of checking all the information to make sure that this person in fact is pre-approved and can get a loan. So that's very important for you to avoid having that situation happen to you as a buyer, as well as the agent representing the seller. Makes you look really bad. So what documents are needed for a pre-approval, Carly?
For a pre-approval, it's very important to provide your driver's license, so we see your full legal name, most recent 1-month check stubs to see the continuance and consistency of an income and the breakdown, most recent 2 years W-2s, for instance 2023 and 2022 as of today, and 2 months bank statements of all assets, checking, savings, mutual funds, stocks, bonds, 401k. We want to see it all because we want to be able to see what income you're bringing in, any out of ordinary deposits, see if you have additional reserves, see if there's any regular debits that are not accounted for that could be looked at as a debt that's not disclosed. Those are little things that we need to look at up front that will not make a escrow go sideways. And also tax returns if you own a business or any other properties, taxes will be required as well.
Right. And Carly, in your experience, is it common for real estate agents and sellers to consider and accept a pre-qualification letter versus a pre-approval?
Normally not. They will want to see a pre-approval and or even a pre-underwrite approval. Therefore, you know that this buyer has provided all documentation and done their job to get this pre-approval done. The escrow will be very smooth. Pre-qualification is, again, in a lot of agents' eyes, not a full approval or pre-approval, therefore not considered, because sometimes that may be an out of area or an online lender that hasn't done all the information. And having a local lender can be huge too for a offer or a pre-approval letter, because they can simply meet with them, they can pick up the phone and speak with them throughout the whole transaction and before and after.
Right. One of the things that I've experienced is when people call an 800 toll-free number to get pre-qualified. You know, usually it ends up happening that a lot of times we can't get a hold of that lender. Many times it's out of state, time difference, etc. So it just creates more problems. It's best to work with a local lender that you can go see at their office, ask questions, and get clarified on any questions or concerns you might have. So the other thing is, how long is the pre-approval last? How long is it good for, Carly?
Pre-approvals are good on average for 120 days. It all depends on the credit pull. So your credit report is only good for a certain amount of time. So that's how long your credit report, your pre-approval is good for. But if, for instance, you are actively looking and then something happens, you have to put the home search on pause, then you decide 6 months later that we can go ahead, that you want to go ahead and look again. It's a simple update of the credit and you're pre-approved again, as long as nothing has changed in regards to the application and documents you provided.
Right. So keep in mind that if you're thinking of buying a property, time is of the essence. Sooner is always better than later. And be aware that, you know, the pre-approval lasts only for a certain period of time. Like Carly says, usually 120 days. So if something happens in the meantime that causes you to pause and wait, you have to get that search or make an offer. Later, you make sure that your pre-approval is still good enough, okay? If you have any questions regarding any loans, getting pre-approved, call Carly Rosales at the Money Store. And the best number to reach you, Carly?
My cell phone is best at 805-302-8224. And also, one thing I do want to mention, while you are pre-approved, always stay connected with your lender and hopefully they're doing the same. If anything changes in regards to a change in job, increase in pay, additional funds received, all those things can add and contribute to your pre-approval. And those are things that we'd like to go ahead and adjust and make the changes accordingly. So continue to stay in communication with your lender.
Communication is definitely key, both for the realtor involved with you, helping you out, as well as the lender. Very important. If you want to buy a property, if you want to list your home and put your property on the market, now is the best time to do that. You can call me directly at 805-479-2992. 43 years in the business, so I have a lot of experience and know what I'm doing. So thank you again for paying attention and listening to this video. Again, please click like on this video, subscribe to my channel at YouTube, Rudy Campos Realtor, and also share this information with friends and family who may be thinking of buying a home and getting pre-approved. Thank you again. Have a great day.
Thank you.